Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready to dive deep?
Always.
Okay, good, good.
Yeah.
Today we're tackling something that I think is on everyone's mind a lot, money, finances.
Right.
Specifically, we're looking at this article, and honestly, the title's a little provocative, but I promise it's more insightful than it might seem at first glance.
Yeah, the title is definitely a bit,
It's called Five Things Poor People Do, Five Things Rich People Do.
okay, I see. Yeah.
And look, we're not about labeling anyone here. This is about understanding the habits, right?
Absolutely.
And seeing if we can all take away some actionable insights regardless of where we are on our financial journey.
Right, right.
So, full disclosure, some of the points in here are a little surprising, even to me.
Interesting. Like what?
Well, for example, you might be surprised to learn just how much emphasis is placed on mindset and long-term thinking when it comes to building wealth.
Okay, yeah. Mindset is huge.
Huge, right? So let's dive into the first part of the article, the five things poor people do. And again, big caveat here. These are broad trends we're talking about, not universal truths.
Right, of course. We're talking about pattern.
Exactly. So the article starts by talking about living paycheck to paycheck
Right.
and how that can often lead to a cycle of, impulsive spending.
Yeah, it's a tough cycle to break. You're constantly stressed about money,
Stressed.
so you end up making decisions that might feel good in the moment,
Right, right.
but don't really help your long-term financial well-being.
And that connects to the next point, which is the lack of financial planning.
It's hard to plan when you're just trying to survive
Exactly. And the article argues that this is where a lot of people get stuck because
because they're so focused on the immediate needs.
exactly. Think about it. Have you ever felt completely overwhelmed just trying to manage your finances without a clear plan?
Oh, for sure. I think most people have been there at some point.
Absolutely. It can feel like you're just treading water.
Totally. And the article goes on to talk about how this short-term focus can also lead to prioritizing, immediate needs over long-term goals,
Right.
which of course makes sense in some situations.
Yeah, sometimes it's about survival, right?
Exactly. But it can also make it really hard to break out of that cycle and start building wealth.
Right. And it's important to acknowledge that limited access to resources plays a huge role in all of this.
Absolutely. Things like education, job opportunities, even just access to financial advice, it can make a huge difference.
Huge. So yeah, I mean, this first part of the article, it paints a pretty tough picture.
It does, but it's important to remember, again, that these are trends, not judgments.
Right, exactly. And that leads us to the second part of the article, the five things rich people do. And here's the thing, it's less about specific actions and more about an overall approach to wealth.
Right. It's a mindset.
It is, yeah. So the first point here is investing wisely. And the article uses this analogy. It says it's like planting seeds.
Ooh, I like that.
Right. You choose carefully.
And you nurture them for long-term growth.
Exactly. It's not about get-rich-quick schemes. It's about slow and steady growth over time.
And that connects to the next point, which is living below your means.
Right. Which, that's something you hear a lot. But the article frames it in a really interesting way. It's not about deprivation. It's about
Intentional spending.
intentional spending.
Yeah.
It's about discipline and delayed gratification.
Yes. Making choices today that will pay off in the future.
Right. And speaking of planning, that's the next point. Prioritizing financial planning.
Right. It's about having a roadmap, not just a rearview mirror.
Okay, I love that analogy. A roadmap, not a rearview mirror.
So instead of just tracking your spending, you're actually creating a plan for how you're going to reach your financial goals.
Exactly. Whether that's saving for retirement, buying a house, or whatever it is that's important to you. Right. And that brings us to the point about building multiple income streams, which honestly, this one can feel a little overwhelming, right?
It can, but it doesn't have to be about having multiple jobs. It can be about creating passive income streams.
Like how?
Think online businesses, renting out a spare room, things like that.
Ah, okay. So it's about diversifying your income sources, just like you would diversify a portfolio.
Exactly. Reducing risk, increasing potential.
It's all connected.
It is, and that ties into the final point, which is all about mindset. The article argues that wealthy individuals often see opportunities where others see obstacles.
That's interesting.
They're constantly learning and looking for ways to grow their income, not just manage their expenses.
Right, right. So we've covered a lot of ground here. Investing wisely, planning for the future, building multiple income streams, living below your means. It can feel like a lot.
It can, but even adopting one or two of these habits can make a big difference over time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what we want you to take away from this deep dive.
Right.
It's not about judging yourself or anyone else.
Right.
It's about recognizing that small shifts in your mindset and habits can have a huge impact over time.
Absolutely.
So here's your challenge. What's one rich people habit you could try incorporating into your life today? Even something small. Think about it.
Yeah. What one small change could you make that could set you on a path towards greater financial well-being?
Keep that in mind.
Until next time.
See ya.